Hello, my dear students and friends. This is Lesson 9 for Pathways to Awareness. And this is entitled Habit Forms and Changes. And I think it's much simpler than sometimes people ascribe this to be. Not that it's easy to change the actual habit, but to make changes that can help change the habit and the changes of thoughts can be easier than we realize. And hopefully I'll be able to make that clear. In our life, we do our habits through our day. Often we get in routines in particular. Let's call them routines as well, because that's also quite, I think, descriptively correct. We have a routine getting up, particularly if we have a very established job pattern, hours of work, etc. Often we're up at 8 or 6. We come home after our job. There's dinner. Maybe there's a workout beforehand. Whatever the habits are and the patterns are. And all that can be very good because it can give us clarity and we can move forward and we have a routine. But they can also work against us because habits, if not, I think, tinkered with at times, can create a static vibrational field around us. We also become very inflexible. We find it difficult to be flexible if we're in very good routines that seem to work for us. And if you're a single person, etc., that might actually work very well for you. But if you're in relationships or marriage or kids, etc., of course, with kids, good luck with routines because that can very much be changed on a moment. But some of the best parents I know, and particularly for the first several years as their children are growing, have established very good, shall we say, patterns of behaviors and habits in the household for everyone, so it works. And there's a consistency for the kids, which makes perfect sense and is very good for certain points on learning and certain types of learning. But from the adult point of view, often these habits can become so routine that we get bored and things get kind of depressed and negative. And if you're dealing with that, then my suggestion to you is this. Start to change some small things first. Don't try and change the whole routine. Don't try and change your every aspect, but possibly put in 2 or 3 small changes. Maybe you get up at a certain time every day. Maybe you can try and get up slightly earlier. Or slightly later, which would be, I'm sure, more pleasurable, but maybe something earlier once or twice a week. If you have a very clear routine on your diet, which can be very great, maybe once in a while in the week, change that up a bit. Small things can lead to us reestablishing passion within ourselves, reestablishing balance, because when we get negative about our habits and routines, we get out of balance and the auric field will kind of look lopsided, even with somebody who can be very clearly defined in their routines, particularly if you're bored of them and with them. Everything that we've done so far in this course, of course, has been to do with energy and vibrations, recognizing energy and vibrations, how we're affected by energy and vibrations, not also from without, but also from within. And that is to do with our thoughts. And this all relates to habit forms. And then also to be aware to change them. If you find yourself going into a real depression or a place of consistent dissatisfaction, anxiety. I hate to use that word, but let's use the word anxiety. I think it's more dissatisfaction, actually, in that case. And it all becomes quite negative. You might have to make more dramatic changes. It might be you need to go out and buy new clothes, change your hair. And I mean this both for guys and girls. It may be that you need to read some other books. You need to be around some other people a bit. And it could just simply be that you're feeling trapped. There's no way out. There's no way that you feel that you can improve or change or grow. And if this is to do with a partner, a husband or a wife, etc., then maybe it's time to sit down and have a conversation about how you two can help each other in your continued growth. So because as much as you'll have similarities of interest, you'll also have some differences, and maybe you need to give each other a bit of space with that or support with it. But only you can really figure out what the issue is, shall we say, where you're finding yourself within a negative pattern or a pattern that doesn't to be serving you anymore. Sometimes, if you can, to help change the pattern and the habit, get up early and go for a walk if you're near woods or trees or a little park. And very quickly do the exercises that we did in exercises 1, 2, and 3. Always use the light. Remember, everything that we have done should be building on each lesson. So lesson 1 through 7 should help you with lesson 8, and 1 should be with 2, and 2 should go to 3, etc. Maybe not directly, but in terms of the practice of them. And even in doing the pathways to awareness, let's say you're thinking, okay, I'm going to really have my routine from 1 to 7, and then I'll add in 8 and 9. And at some point you might think, okay, I've been doing that for 3, 5, 6 weeks. I need to change this around. I'm really getting bored with 1 and 2. Well, then just jump to 3 or 4 and start there, and then go back or go up to 7. Once we've created a knowledge base, changing routine can actually stimulate that knowledge base to push us further. Keep that in mind. And this is part of what this is about. You might find that you need to change some of your breakfast just for that. A couple of times a week, go for a swim, go for a run, just whatever. Just a walk, read a different book, watch some comedy. Maybe you haven't watched much comedy in a while, and that might be very good and uplifting. Change some music around you, change the sounds around you. Use the sounds, the chanting as well. But remember, it all begins with small things first. Don't be too dramatic in the change. It might be too much, and it might really throw you off. And if it's really a depression that sets in, and I know now there's so much about antidepressives and medications and what have you, but yours might be from a different place. Maybe you're feeling that you've gotten off your pathway a bit. Maybe the fact is that you haven't been doing your spiritual practices, and that could very well be what's done it. And that's good, because you've recognized it, and now you're being called back. Remember that sometimes with our dissatisfactions, particularly on a spiritual path, it could be that we haven't been doing the practices enough. Maybe we've had a week off from it, or maybe it's been 3 weeks or a month, and all of a sudden we feel disconnected from the divine. We feel disconnected from ourselves. We feel disconnected from others. And we're not seeing things through the eyes of spirit now. We're seeing things through the eyes of just the material. And that can be a real wake-up call. And believe me, you're not alone. We all go through those moments. Don't judge yourself too harshly. Just recognize it and then try and make some changes with that. But if things are really static, it could be then you need to look at changing your job. It could be that you need to change your place of residence. You may be thinking, I need to live in a new apartment or a new house, or I need to go on a trip for 2 weeks. Could be just that as well, which is perfectly fine. But if it's very deep, and it could be because of relationships or happenings that have occurred in the area of your life and where you live and family, and you actually need to get away, it might be that you need to move to a different city. It could be a different province, country. And don't discard those. those are dramatic changes, and probably you won't need to do that. But don't shut your mind off that it is possible that that could be one of the things you need to do, particularly if you feel you've come to a dead-end road. That's when you need to make the decisions that are necessary to bring positive energies back. And your awareness and also the guidance that is with you will help you with this. And remember to take time to sit quietly. Remember the first lesson. Draw from everything that we've done, and then ask your questions through prayer. That's also very powerful. You will eventually receive the answer, and it may not be, oh, you've been dissatisfied, you need to change your job. It might be that you get inspiration just to change some of your habits in terms of your, let's say, to change your point of view, to look at things again with gratitude. Because sometimes when we get depressed and we get the habits become boring and repetitive, sometimes, and I'd say 40% of the time, maybe even 50, we have forgotten to inject gratitude into those repetitive tasks or repetitive habits. And just by going back and with the divine and God, sitting down in prayer and putting gratitude back into everything that you have, that's right in front of you, not what you want, not what you think you could be or should be, but what you have, that can actually settle us down again and bring balance back to ourselves. Remember, discontent is a very wily, shall we say, mistress or wily, seductive thought. Discontent can serve us, but often this day and age now, discontent is all around us in all of our social media, all of our televisions, the stories of people wanting more and working towards more, and that's all very valuable and good. But if it could be and can be a source of your own discontent, of your own negativity about where you are and what you have, and that the appreciation and gratitude for what's in front of you has been more or less sucked out of you because you're not supposed to be content. You know, the media and everything around us really builds always a story of being discontent. So just maybe keep that in mind a little bit. And be patient. Be patient with yourself and be patient with answers from Spirit. And eventually the thoughts will be received. But once you've made a decision, remember you must do your part and follow through on it. And try not to hesitate. And try not to let other people influence you at this particular time. Not that you shouldn't listen to them and consider, but again, personal responsibility. Only you are responsible for your destiny, for keeping on your pathway in this life. That doesn't mean it will be perfect or easy. It just means that you are responsible. So, my dear friends, students, I hope this helps a little bit. And until we meet again for lesson 10, I wish you well and all the light and all the contentment to be with you, the divine God and Spirit. Thank you.